And the sound's moving. And yes, we're here live at the Oracle. And we've not been here for a while, so welcome to everybody. It's been anybody out there had a very wild and woolly last, let's say, month? Let's say last few days, last few hours. Well, you're in the right place because you're not alone. The most common thing that people are saying when they come in for sessions right now are, I feel alone, I feel crazy, I feel overwhelmed. And every story they're telling me is what's going on in my life, everybody's life. We are in a shake-up. We're in a huge, huge, huge shake-up of energy. And just when you think you can land and kind of rest for a minute, there's another shake-up. And the shaking up isn't bad. What it is, just when you think you can take a little pause, if there's any speck of anything around you that's not authentic, that's not of the light, that's going to, at the end of your story here, or in your storyline, keep causing you pain, dysfunction, putrid energy, it's going to keep shaking up. And as we've talked in days gone by here about attachment, what causes sorrow is attachment. Attachment in a positive way, attachment in a negative way. So in these moments where you get a little bit settled in and you've moved a lot of negative energy and you are on a roll and you get what's going on in your life, and then all of a sudden it feels like the rug is pulled out again, or there's another disturbance or another fire you have to put out, it's not negative. You can bet that you have to keep going. One of the biggest things that keeps pounding in my head is this, and it's very reversed from a lot of people do as spiritual teachers, but this is what I've always known. We never left the Garden of Eden. There is a perfect realm that exists that you don't have to die to get to. There is a frequency that actually pervades the earth, and it's here. It's not something that we are awakening to. A lot of people are going, wow, we're awakening to this new. It's not new. Nothing's new. What's new is you waking up, me waking up out of the illusion that we were ever separate. And we became so separate when we fell through fear into that illusion of that reptilian brain, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. When we were in the tree of life, which is what our bodies are, our whole body is a tree of life. And we were one with everything in paradise, in the garden state. There was no separation. We didn't fall through sexuality, we didn't fall through anything but fear. When we went down into that reptilian brain, which is where the serpent comes in to some of the stories, what is the most primitive thing on earth for people and animals? Fight or flight. You got two choices. You can fight it out or you run away. And it's what we still do. It's a very ancient form of how we've learned to cope. And somewhere we don't know there's a middle ground. Somewhere we've not learned how do we make peace? How do we find a bridge between heaven and earth? How do we do something rather than kick somebody's ass, or literally, and be in battle with things, or go into this, we got to hide. We're fearful. We have to cover. And that's what literally I think the covering was about. I think the covering was about. It was when we realized, people are probably telling me we're not on the air again.
We're just trying to summon you.
Oh, good. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Being centered. Here it is.
Centered,
in
Gosh, if only it were that easy.
That's right. Well, it's actually easy. But we all know that. People get bored when they're centered. That's that other part of our human duality is that we find somehow, we found, this way?
I can't see.
What can't
I'm
you,
dyslexic too.
Other way.
no, it's moving off center that way. Or it can be,
It's weird that it's not even moving at all, but there's a delay, so you have to.
It's delayed.
There's a little bit of a delay, but
I think
still.
this way,
You moved it you moved it the other way that you did. She's clear on the right side.
this way,
There's a delay there. Yeah.
this way. Keep going. Keep going this way.
Yeah. Yeah, you're moving.
Yeah, that's
You're,
good. Yeah.
you're moving in the right direction.
Well, it's weird because there's a huge delay.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you.
It's still far on the right side. Can you see it?
I know,
Yeah,
it's,
I can see it, but look how much we moved
Yeah.
the.
Let's see, she's way on the right side.
okay. As life imitates art and vice versa, yeah.
Oh, I thought so.
I don't know why either, but supernatural things seem to happen here. Yeah, I don't know. Is it the chair? Is it, I don't know. Well, we'll proceed. It doesn't matter.
Still fairly, yeah.
That's better.
Okay. Anyway, back to, there is a middle ground. And what happens with the duality of the left brain, right brain, we fall into a place of judgment. This is bad. What's going on? Take her earphones off now. She can't hear. She can't hear. She says she's like, it's good now. Okay. And guess what? We are working on presenting to you a very different, a better quality of how we're doing this. I know people have been writing from all over the country. Where's the Oracle? Writing on Ustream. The last two were recording and then they stopped, and the quality wasn't great, and there's been a lot of that lower level negative energy that wants to interfere and keep me from not wanting to do them, but that's not going to happen. But anyway, so we're on tonight. We'll be working more and more and more to really have a much better all-around situation for everybody so you can hear. So it doesn't sound like I'm in a tunnel. But anyway, and you're going to notice this more and more and more, that instead of what you used to do, because it's not really working for you anymore, to go into that running away, head in the sand, or getting to the point then where you want to just, the way you explode, right? When you're present, and how are we present? When you're present, your mental, your spiritual, your physical, your emotional bodies are at one. There's not a separation. You're in that place of a flow. You're in that, it's like the pyramid or the triangle. The duality is here, but at the end of the day, it's all one. You come up to that higher consciousness. And it's when the left brain and right brain are in harmony. You know, they can do scientific studies and watch brain patterns of people who meditate, or people who, you're just in that flow. There's not a left brain, right brain going on. Animals, babies, stay in that alpha state. They stay in that oneness state. They don't go, oh my God, which is why we have to protect babies and animals sometimes, because they don't see fear. They put their hand on the stove. They think, it's one of these interesting things because they're in that pure innocent state, and so they don't see danger. They don't see fear. Everything's just one energy. So again, how can we be like the baby, the child, the animal, that pure intelligence, that pure essence that different scriptures of different religions talk about? Except you become a child, you cannot enter the kingdom. And what is meant by that, doesn't matter what age you are chronologically, we are many ages emotionally. But we all have within us that innocent, pure DNA, that innocent manifestation of the Divine Mother, Divine Father, of that higher DNA that has nothing to do with your parental unit people. Now, The, the lower DNA that we've all been dealing with has been ferocious lately. If you don't notice, it's kind of like you look and you go, oh God, I think I even look like, or I make an expression like my mom or my dad, or you hear yourself talking or having a reaction, and you're like, oh crap, the very things I didn't like about them, I think I'm doing them now. Or you start to feel an ache or a pain, you think, oh my God, so-and-so died of a heart attack at a certain age, I'm at that age, maybe I'm going to die. All that's coming up not to make you crazy, it's coming up so you can heal it. So when you feel this crazy fear stuff, when you feel that activation, you don't know why you are in this bliss 1 minute, you're in that pure state of that baby child, that pure innocence where you're in that flow and you're feeling good, and then the next minute you feel fear, you feel negativity, you almost look in the mirror and your face has changed and you look older and you look heavier and you feel heavy. It's because we are in a process of being freed from all the things that are not right. We're freeing ourselves from the sins of the fathers. Sins of the fathers that go through 7 generations is not a concept that's just written in the Bible, or it's written in many scriptures of many religions. And literally you can ask a geneticist, and weaknesses of the body, mind, and spirit do go through 7 generations. They've also done a lot of studies on people that were separated and knew nothing of their family history. And it's not just weaknesses for diabetes or heart failure or this or that or that. It has to do with other things. Both sides of my family, for example, when we've gone way back and up until even in my mother's family, my mother's mother came from a very, very wealthy family, and she was disinherited, or she was cut out of a will because she married a poor farmer. My father's side of the family was almost an identical thing. And you go back in their lineages, and there were huge amounts of wealth and money and things they owned, but stories of this same story that nobody consciously knew about, of this being disenfranchised, that got repeated. And it's fascinating. So you want to listen for your own stories and your own family. What stories have you heard about relatives? What stories you want to ask questions of relatives, not just about health things, but what, because we get so involved as children in rebelling against parents, or we'll hear things, but we don't get it that we are our ancestors, that we do have DNA, we have blood running through us, and it's not just patriarchal, it's matriarchal, it's both sides. I ask people all the time, do you know your mother's maiden name, or your grandmother's maiden name, or do you know your father's mother's, your grandmother's maiden name? Do you know how many don't know it? Because we're so stuck on patriarchal. And we have to look at both sides. And the matriarchal, in Judaism, it comes through the mother. You're not even considered Jewish unless the mother is Jewish. We come from many of the early, the Miami, the Delaware, many of the Creek were matriarchal systems. They considered whoever they married were kind of like brothers that came into the family. It's a really interesting, if you read anything about some of the early Indian tribes, they considered there was a great honoring of the divine feminine, and they had control over certain things. And it wasn't like you would think. It wasn't like control or like this division of labor. It was just an understanding. And again, we're in an era of, it's not about now women are going to rule again or men shouldn't rule again. We're in that healing of that illusion that somehow yin-yang doesn't exist. We see it in New Age thought. We see it in Zen things. We see it in symbols. People wear it on their T-shirts. It's that separation again, right? We're all yin-yang. The inner psyche of a female is male. The inner psyche of a male is female. We are of heaven and earth. We are of the Divine Mother, of the Divine Father. We are both energies. And we're in an exciting time when women are getting in touch with their divine inner male, men are getting in touch with their divine inner feminine. And so we're seeing a lot of role changing. And so instead of it being a lot of things where, men should be doing this or women should be doing that, or this extreme kind of thing, and you probably all can relate to this because I hear it every day too. People that have female bosses, or they work with females, and again, I saw a lot of this with women in the 70s and 80s in particular, where they would take on the work instead of being just who they were. It's not even about being male or female, being a person in a workplace, not a facade, not a sexual whatever. They would be like the worst emulation of the male stereotype, So they did a study that's been on TV and it's been on the internet a lot, where they had a female and a male actor and actress say the same. They went to an interview and they had an audience, right, divided, male, female, watching. And so the woman comes on, she says the exact things, she gives the exact answers then they have a man come on and he does the exact interview, and the woman was a bitch and he was wonderful. Oh no, they asked people, who would you hire? Oh, I wouldn't hire that woman. And she didn't have any kind of inflection in her voice. It was very neutral. She was very confident. She was I have done this, and I have this education, and it was astounding. And the neater thing they did, it wasn't just to prove that kind of a point. They took it a step further, and they told the people in the audience, and people actually kind of had tears in their eyes. And there were actually a couple of men that felt really, they go, oh my God, I didn't even realize I would have that immediate reaction to a female saying, I graduated from Harvard, or I blah, 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 blah. And I think you have to look it up because it's all over. It's a really neat study they did. Even, I think it was 2/3 of the women thought something was wrong with the woman and thought the man was wonderful. And what was interesting, if you kind of look back objectively, the man actually was more, in my opinion, felt kind of menacing. But I think they did that on purpose because he was an actor. So there's wonderful things happening where it's taking a long time, but we're going to see more and more of how do we find middle road? Why do our brains keep wanting to go, this is bad, this is good, this person's a bitch, this person's empowered and confident. This is night, this is day, this is, I'm right, the whole being right or being wrong, and somebody, that judgmental thing, right? So you're going to see more and more in your own life. The minute you find yourself really feeling polarized, and that's what's happening, to heal and come back to a middle road, we're having to experience the extremes. So if you find yourself just going crazy when something happens, it's usually the tip of the iceberg of something you've been working on for a long time. So people are blurting out and being angry, and you may find yourself just sort of the most simple thing going, but if you really look into it, it's probably an ancient pattern where you've let somebody walk all over you, or you've let something happen that you're very passive, and now you're finding your boundary. And there's a difference between setting a boundary and shutting down. I've had this discussion all week. Well, unconditional love means, I go, no, what does it mean? Unconditional love, well, no, yeah, I think if I'm around this person long enough and I love them unconditionally, even though there's different situations, the people are totally clearly toxic, negative, there's it's a bottomless pit, there's nothing about it. That's not what unconditional love is. Unconditional love does not mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean feeling sorry. We've talked about this before. When we feel sorry, we have an issue. We get hooked in and we get victimized. When we have compassion and for ourselves and others, and you have an open heart and you love yourself unconditionally, the right things will happen. You're not coming from an ego place that goes, oh my God, I've got to save every cat and dog. I've got to give people the last ounce of my money or my time or my energy. you'll have a discernment. One of the gifts of Holy Spirit is discernment. It's a discerning. When you have discernment, you start to know it's not judgment. And you may get judged and people, oh, you're being judgmental. No. It's like Spirit told me about 15 years ago. If you're standing on the railroad track and you see the train coming, get off the track. It's real simple. I was going through like a real difficult time, and trust me, I had about 10 trains coming 10 directions, and I was still on the track. And I think I thought I was like the old heroines where they're tied to the track, and I couldn't get up, And all of a sudden, that was an epiphany. It came, and I got away from that whole train station. Let's just say, I'm never going to go back into that place I didn't even know I'd kept myself in. And so this is the kind of thing to look for. You're creative beings. We're co-creators. We were made in the image of the Creator, and we were given the gifts of co-creation, of free will. So the darkest corner, the most shadow energies that are coming up right now from within yourself, from other people, create. What's the opposite of creation? Destruction. When we don't create, the energy again, it's that duality. It's a duality. So feel the pain, feel the reaction, get into it, yell, scream, do whatever. Get it out of your body, get it out of your mind, and then go, okay, okay, don't want to be there, don't want to do that. It's clear that without me even thinking about this, I'm having a very strong reaction to whatever this thing is that just happened. And then you go, you pause, you become present, and you think, where in my life, where in my childhood, why is this such a deep pain? And why, no matter what I do, it happens over and over and over again. No matter what I do, no matter what I try, no matter what. And I guarantee you, if you take the pause, you'll get answers. But we're so trapped in karma and reaction. What is karma? For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's how we got trapped. That's how we got hooked. What is dharma? Whatever moment you're in, that moment is fulfilled because you're present. You don't walk away and think, wow, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. I should have done this. And as we all know about that movie Groundhog Day, it's been like that, but it's not anymore. And that's why you're so miserable. Things aren't linear anymore. You're not having the luxury, or actually it wasn't luxury, it was actually hellacious, to keep repeating. So what you're going to find is that there's not a break. There used to be, when we were in this learning through repetition, about 15 years ago, Spirit said, this reincarnational thing and this thing about just repeating, it's antiquated. It's too hard to get in the body. It's too hard to, no, that's not the system. And here we are now. And I repeat this over and over again because I know it's real. On October 28th of 2011 is when the Mayan calendar collapsed. It did not collapse on 12/21/12. That was a whole other alignment that happened, but everybody should look back in their lives 2 years ago, and you'll see a lot of things. You'll see tons of stuff. It didn't hit the general public of what really that meant till about spring of this year, and then we got into the summer, and we got into August, and then we got into the fall, and it's full tilt now. It's like, oh, wait a minute. And what happened? It's like a big dump truck backed up over everybody's lives, and in your yard and on top of you, dumped out all of your lessons, good, bad, and different, past, present, future, whatever it is you were learning in a way of repeating. It's just on you. It's just there. And so it's overwhelming because it's not all bad. It's like there's wonderful things, there's good things, it's all things. So it's not allowing your brain to keep going, oh, this is a bad thing, oh, this is a good thing. So that's why you don't even know sometimes if you want to laugh, if you want to cry, if you want to, you don't even know. It's overwhelming. And with that awakening, and again, it's not an awakening that all of a sudden there's this light on the earth and, no. There's no more linear. It's always been that way. You're not in the matrix anymore. There's no more matrix. And so the matrix is gone. And people that want to choose to stay in that illusion of fear, which is control-based, which is all kinds of stuff you'll see. When people are fearful, they either want to control others or they want to be controlled. Again, it's, if you can, when people have extreme love that's not unconditional, they can have extreme hate for a person or for a situation. So again, it's that extreme that's trying to be healed right now. So when you feel these strong emotions, it's not a bad thing. It might be a scary thing because we've been so programmed to think the physical superior, we've got to control that physical body, we've got to work out, we've got to look a certain way, we've got to do this, we've got to, and the mind wants to try to control everything. And the spiritual is so superior to the emotional. We want to try to control the emotions, or we want to try to, whatever it is we think we're doing with emotions. All the bodies are equal. Well, and again, the illusion is there really is a separation of mental, spiritual, and mind. It's just one big energy. And the more you go into this idea and you feel it, it won't be an idea. When we read things, when we look at things, when we keep still seeing things in this mental, lower mental way, there's a separation. So you may find even that you don't enjoy reading as much, or you might read snippets and then put a book down. Or you may find that we're processing in a different way. And there's nothing wrong with reading. It's a very good thing, but you may find that when you're reading, instead of the way you used to take in what you're reading, it may start to be very activating to you emotionally. It may be very activating to different parts of your being, where to the point where you're not just like, oh, I read this book, read this health, but where it's taking on another way of healing you. So in your lives right now, know that whatever is happening is your path. You're not separate from anything. Again, that's the most common thing every day. What's my path? Well, your path has led you right this moment to this place, which is kind of interesting. I've had a lot of people coming back that have not been here in 20 years, 30 years. And it's like they sit down, because I'm pretty much in present time, especially when I'm doing my readings, and I pick right up where I left off, and I know who they are, what they did, and they go, well, how do you do that? Well, because it's not 20 years in my world. It's not. It just is. And so the more you know and feel and integrate with what I'm telling you, because it's the truth. And you're going to see plenty of people around you that are going to still want to stick to their dogma, their fear-based ideas in politics, religion, that want to divide and say, I'm right, you're wrong, I know everything, you don't know anything. And that's all the extreme manifestation of that left brain, right brain. Lots of people are leaving political groups. Lots of people are leaving religions. Lots of people they feel and know their own way. And then there's lots of new things popping up, new ways of perceiving things. What I always tell people when we get activated by, we always want a scapegoat. It's not a new concept. Oh my God. The idea of the scapegoat is ancient. Are you kidding me? What do you think they did? Animal sacrifice. This poor animal was going to take on the sins of the world. Bad things. Really dark Luciferian energy. Nothing was ever supposed to die. In the garden, nothing died. Nothing had to die to live. That again, that was that fall into the lower brain that said, something has to die. I have to sacrifice, or we're not going to live. We have to have the sacrificial lamb or the sacrificial goat or the sacrificial chickens that they use in voodoo, to go to the other extreme, in voodoo, or they use in really dark things. No, nothing ever, nothing, that was never the way it was supposed to be. So this whole idea of a sacrificial anything is bogus. It's wrong. It's part of the dark, it's part of the Luciferian energy. People forget Lucifer was a bearer of light, closest angel to God. What was the sin? Hubris, wanted to be greater than God. And it's really, I think, a veiled thing for genetic engineering. I think Monsanto is Lucifer itself manifested on earth. Because people forget that Lucifer was cast to earth with his angels, with the fallen angels. And we can look back in history and we can see over and over and over again this idea of we can do it better than God. We can create something that is not from nature. And it's Luciferian. It's hubris. It's really come to a peak in the world right now. I was fortunate enough to be born in a time and in a place that I really didn't appreciate when I was born into it. I was brought up on a bee farm. My father was a beekeeper. And I was brought up in the country, and my father was part Native American. And so we never used, there was not a concept of a pesticide. I was born in 1948, and in the 50s, even the farmers around us didn't use small farms. And so, we canned and freezed our food. We were in 4-H. My dad knew how to plant zinnias or marigolds or plant with the cycles of the moon, whatever. And they were natural pesticides. If you ever smelled a marigold or a zinnia, they're very strong. They have like a very pungent, and insects don't like it. And if you plant, and what's the most amazing thing, it's beautiful in your garden. You see this beautiful orange and yellow. And then for the bees, we had like 8 acres of clover. So beautiful purple clover that had no pesticides on it. And he couldn't keep, of course, he had about 300 beehives. But so then we had a few there, and then he had ones at different places, and then I hated the summer because I had to work in the honey house, and and I knew from the time I was this big, I wanted to be in New York. And I'm going, you guys made a big mistake. This is wrong. The stork dropped me at the wrong address. I always knew it. I mean, seriously, and it was very interesting being a child in that time in a small town too. Because I can remember my birth where I was before. I was always out making altars and and contradicting the Baptist ministers and getting in trouble all the time. So I mean, I was fortunate. We didn't know it was organic. It just was. It just was, right? And so you see the slow erosion of what's happened we were allowed to have 1 Pepsi a week on Saturday, and I guarantee you it didn't have fructose. It didn't have high corn fructose. It was sugar, and it's not a racial slur, but every once in a while I'll want to cook, and they sell Mexican Cokes, because in Mexico they still put them in glass bottles and use cane sugar, and it has no high corn fructose. But I just read an article, guess what? They're trying to change that. It's too expensive to do it that way. There's this big article. Oh yeah, it's like Tom's of Maine. The safe deodorant was bought out by the major people that want to put aluminum in. The toothpaste people were bought out. The American Spirit cigarettes were bought out by Reynolds. Didn't know that, did you? Look on the package next time. It's hubris. It's Luciferian. It's laws that say if your organic stuff goes over in my fake field over here, we're going to put your ass in jail. We're going to prosecute you. I mean, it's insane. I mean, we live in a but the reason it's so polarized and so, when you look at the stuff and you really come out of your own fear and you stay in your centered place, it's like one flew over the cuckoo's nest. You know, the cuckoo people were running the same people were running the insane asylum. There's going to be more and more and more where people go, wow, I don't want to be programmed to not think or not feel or not know my own truth. Because basically, we supposedly live in the freest place in the planet, and it's a big lie. We're programmed from the time we're born to be fearful, to, only the school knows, or the church knows, or this knows, or from the time you're born, you're disempowered. Well, guess what? That's not working anymore. You are, the stuff that you used to do to not feel, to not deal with stuff that was programmed, those programs are blown up. They're gone. So everybody's uncomfortable right now, because even if we were going through patterns that were horrific and suffering, they were familiar. It's another thing of humanism, of the humans. We're so addicted to familiarity. People can be in something that's so bad and so negative, but when it's gone, it's a lot of why people go back to jail. It wasn't so good to be in there, but they don't know what to do. So they go back to jail. Or if people keep going back to abusive relationships, it's better than being alone. No, not really. But if that's what you've been conditioned, when you're still in that lower brain, that's what you'll want to do. Even if you logically can see that it's not good to do this or be involved with that. And what you're going to find is that you may visit something, but you won't stay there. It's not going to be like, it's almost like that song, Hotel California. It's like you can leave. It's not like, but you can never leave. You can leave. And I keep hearing that all the old wonderful songs when music was music. Of course, it's because I was young. It just all the stuff. The Eagles. The Freedom Song. You finally realize you've always had the key. You've always had the key. We live our lives in chains. You don't have to live your lives in chains. And those chains are falling away. But again, it's uncomfortable at first because you're used to being chained. You're used to being, even the best of us, we want to blame other people or blame things. So it's like easy right away to go, as you get this newfound, and again, it's not really newfound, it's a natural state to be free. It's the unnatural state is to be around people who are emotional terrorists, to be trapped in loveless relationships, to be trapped in abusive anything, to be trapped in places and things that bring nothing but pain or sorrow or negative energy, because people stay because they don't want to be alone or they don't want to whatever. And you gotta start questioning those things when you. Yeah, it is like weaning yourself away. At first it may feel very uncomfortable to leave something that is not right. But I'm going to tell you, it's not going to take long for it to feel really good. It doesn't, but the processes that you go through sometimes they're nightmarish. Most of when people go through divorce or they go through separation or they go through any kind of anything, I will guarantee you, almost 100% of the time when people are going through, because I do a lot of work with people going through transitions like that, or people have deaths around them, especially death, especially divorce, it brings up any time in your entire life that you've had a death or an ending or a separation. It brings up your separation from heaven, or the illusion of separation from heaven, when you came down into your physical body, and were one with your mom and then you had the separation of birth. And if you don't think that's real, there's a process called rebirthing. I guarantee you it's real. People go through, especially because most people who are that are in those process of giving birth, they're having their own horrific whatever stuff going on. So it's imprinting into you. So we have this separation. So it's very primal till you understand it. And it's a lot of reasons people do not want to ever leave something, even if it's a horrible, horrible thing. And what's happening right now is, again, there is no heaven or earth. There is no right or wrong. There is no this or that. It's all one big energy. And if you can more and more just think and feel and know that there's only one huge body of spirit, one huge body of God, one huge energy field, and everything else that emanates and manifests from that comes out in personas or in individuated forms, but it's all one source. You'll start to feel the oneness. You'll start to know that how you got trapped was when you thought you were alone. And the best way to heal that we've all had those dark nights of the soul where all the different things have happened. We've all been through it. We felt abandoned, betrayed. We felt persecuted. We felt cheated on. We felt lied to. We felt, all these human things that happen. And it's that dark, dark night where you don't think you're going to get through the night. And you don't know how you're going to get through the night. And you do. But the way to really get through those nights so you don't ever have them again is to embrace that. It's not to get addicted. Then people can also get addicted to, we all know people like this. Almost, I call them like professional mourners. Oh my God, if there's a death, if there's a this, everything that's negative, they're just in their glory on it, right? Or the suffering, no. It's very important to, when you have the darkest of those nights and you wish that phone would ring. And it doesn't even have to be that boyfriend or husband or whoever, wife or whatever that lonely thing you're going through. You just wish anybody would be calling you. Usually anything would be happening, right? When you go into that depth of facing the fact that really isn't a fact and embrace being alone, you'll never be alone again, because it's a lie. You're not alone. But we've been so taught to feel the duality, and then we stay there. It's like fear. I've had certain things happen to me when I was younger, very intense things, not like any normal intense things that happen to other people. I'm talking big stuff. I'm talking stuff that will be in a book someday. I mean really unusually strange things. I learned a long time ago. I was in a circumstance one time that I won't go into all the details now, where I was in a political movement and somebody actually it's a whole storyline, but it's too long of a story to tell. But it's a very interesting story. And they pulled a gun on me and they were going to kill me and held me captive, and I was probably 21 years old, and I'm a Scorpio, and I thought, yeah, this is really kind of scary, because this person, I don't know how they know all these things. They must be who they say they are, working for this certain agency, which I won't go into right now. And I used to belong innocently into the SDS, Students for Democratic Society. It sounded real harmless to me, but back then it was considered very radical. It's not, you don't hear about it today. Different things. And different reasons why this event happened. I'm sure I know why these events happened to me when I was very young. I had about enough of it, and I said, okay, whatever. You're just going to have to kill me because I'm leaving. And this person literally fell down a flight of stairs. I went toward the stairs, they got in front of me, and I didn't touch them. A force of spirit threw them down the stairs. And I can tell you it's a true story. I've had many things in my life that have been so severe and so intense, but the minute I wasn't going to be captured. I wasn't going to be put in that fear-based place, and I just did what I had to do. It changed. You have power to change anything that is a negative like that. But again, we're so programmed to be a certain way or think a certain way. I have many stories of it. Where you just you reach a point where you make a choice. Okay, what's worse? Having somebody there that's threatening you, or are you done with that and you go ahead and do whatever you're going to do? I'm out of here. And it's empowering. So every time, any kind of circumstance you're in, notice why you might turn your power over to somebody, because we all do it. We'll be in circumstances and something isn't right, or you don't agree with what somebody's saying, or you feel very uncomfortable in a situation. Doesn't mean you have to pontificate or judge that person. What you're going to find more and more and more, and I'm finding this very extreme in my life right now, you won't want to be around those people. It's not that there will be a fight. You're going to find that certain things you used to put energy into, you don't even have an interest. I've had people that have, for example, played tennis for years go, I don't want to play anymore. I don't know why. And I said, because you were playing tennis as an escape. It might have been something you were focusing on to put your energy into, but I'm having other people who have never exercised going, I want to play tennis now. So it's not like something's wrong with tennis. It's why are you doing something? What is your motive? What is your intention? It's not the activity. It's not the thing. And that's where we get tripped up. We get very caught on the end of that story. So pay very close attention to where you want to put your time and energy. Because I guarantee you there's a lot of stuff you're not going to do anymore. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're lazy. It doesn't mean that you're becoming more and more aware of you as your own individuated self, that within your own being, you are a microcosm of the macrocosm, and that you're not separate, but you have unconditional love for you. And so instead of doing anything to be part of something, you're not going to do it anymore. Or it's going to be more and more like that, where you know that it will be easier to speak your truth, be in your truth, do what you need to do. And within our own being, we have the ability to become our own mother and father and brother and sister and lover and savior. It's called Tantra. It's not just a sex. It's about union. It's a huge thing. You are born with every component, every archetype already in you. But we're not taught that. We're taught that you have to find this great person that's going to save you, or that's going to rescue you, or that's going to and unfortunately for families, we tend to imprison ourselves and family members in roles. They're very it's a very tricky business, because if we think of ourselves as a son or a daughter, a mother or father, a brother or sister, and that's why people hate the holidays. they go, this is always the hard time. People, I gotta go see, I gotta go deal with them. I always tell people, this year, just imagine they're all dead, not as people. Just put them on a bus and see it going over the cliff. I'm talking about the roles. I'm talking about the roles, not the people. And why don't you go to your Thanksgiving, your Christmas, your Hanukkah, whatever, and see them as people. See them as little children. See them as get rid of and don't think about what your placement in your family thing is. Because roles are limiting. If we think about someone in a certain way, we'll have a negative and a positive expectation. Then we're disappointed. All the time. Or you'll sit and wait for it. It's like, yeah, I know they're going to do it. They're going to bring this subject up. Or they're going to do, well, and they always do. I mean, there's always that. But if you don't go into a place all armored up and like closed down, something different might happen. Or if you redirect what normally happens, or what you think is going to normally happen, you might be surprised that other things happen. And I think that's one of the big lessons, is to understand that your mother and your father were people. You know, that they had lives, they had experiences, they had things you don't know about. They had, you know, they had their own things. And so all those kind of things right now are very important to, or I think the typical one is I hate my boss. I hate my boss. Or I get people who are bosses coming here, I hate the people that work for me. And again, it's because of the polarization. It's because somebody's the boss, somebody's the... No, you're just people. How about that one? How about just getting rid of those concepts? And it's so ingrained in us, though. It's so ingrained that this is this and this is that and that kind of thing. And it goes back to, I always say, you know, I think that in the way I've always perceived how I learn and grow, I feel like the teacher is the student and the student is the teacher. You know, and there's a fabulous book written probably 20 or 30 years ago, if you meet the guru in the road, kill him. You know, because I'm not sitting myself up here as some big... That's why I share the good, the bad, and the ugly with people. I'm a human. I share what I know and what I've experienced and try to do it in a totally authentic way so you understand that you have the answers. It's very difficult. There's a lot of... I mean, people want to have someone always telling them what's right, what's wrong, what's this, what's that. You know your own truth. You know your own path. But when the wonderful thing is when we gather in a group like this, it's not just us here. There's millions of people really on this earth, in everywhere in the universe, that are in the same frequencies. And it's empowering and it's a wonderful thing. So it's a wonderful thing for people to gather in a common good, in a common positive energy. Does anybody have a question or anything you want to ask before we do a meditation? We'll do a short guided meditation. Anything? Everybody's kind of quiet tonight. Where's the bus? Well, you got to create your own bus. Take the bus. No, and it really is. The more you pierce through the veils, and I think I've had a lot of this recently. Sometimes our lower mind, a lot of times we think that somebody did something to us, and maybe they didn't. Or they didn't do it on purpose. You may think they did, and there are people, trust me, that are just evil and will do evil things to you. But there's many times that it's a big misperception, that you don't realize that maybe, you know, you misread a situation. Yeah, I've been going through vast amounts of pictures, and I found pictures of a friend of mine that we used to be, extremely close for years, and we haven't been close for years. She called today and came in for a session. The last 2 days I've been finding pictures of her. She shows up. Yeah, she's one of the first people I ever met when I came to Indianapolis. Yeah. Interesting. There's a lot of this right now where it's just, everything is just, it's just right now. It's just right here. So don't limit how Spirit can bring what you need. And again, it's the middle road. You know, people got so carried away with the law of attraction, which is no new, or the secret's not a secret. And I'm sure to tell you, it's no secret. And it's not about getting big houses and cars and all this kind of stuff. If that's what you want, you can probably manifest that. But it's, again, the middle road. because I've seen people take it to the extreme where they go in, I have it, and vision boards are wonderful. My mother passed away in April, and I found her, she had this beautiful vision board she'd made probably back in the 80s, and, vision boards are good. They're wonderful, but you don't want to throw them, you don't want to fixate, you don't want to limit how spirit can bring your highest good. So what I always tell people, instead of thinking, because people get very focused, that's got to be this person, I know this is my soulmate, and people just get this dogmatic thing, and I always think many times soulmates can become cellmates because people are forcing the relationships. How much better could your life be if you say, I want my highest good? I don't want anything but what's for my highest good. I don't want anything. I'm willing to surrender and let go of anything that's causing me pain that I don't even know about. I want it gone. I want it gone now. But there's a middle road. You don't want to be totally fixated. It has to be this person, this job, this house, this thing, blah, blah. You want to have an idea you want to co-create. So it's not a blind faith where you go, and you see people like that, they just sit around, well, I don't know why nothing's happening. Well, it could be because you don't leave your house or your chair. There's a middle road about how to manifest stuff, how to bring into manifested form. But the point is, again, so we were talking at the very beginning, there is a middle road. And when that left brain and when that right brain are synchronized, there's only one energy. When you're in that extreme of the one, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. We talked about this probably 30, 40 years ago. I used to do a lot of teaching about the opposite of paranoid is euphanoid. It's a made-up word. But it's people that say, no, everything's good. Everything's wonderful. And that's an interesting approach until of course, it's better than thinking everything's horrible, but it's just the other extreme, because if things aren't really wonderful, how are you going to heal it? Why would you want to put on a mask? Of course, you don't want to dwell. Again, it's a middle road. So, yes, it's good to be positive, but the authentic thing is stop judging what might be bad or good. Because sometimes things happen, you think, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, or this is and it's really not. It's just that energy. It's just that, somebody at the door?
She said she was coming.
Oh, okay. So anyway, very much so, be centered, be in the moment, and you won't go wrong. Things will not go in a bad direction for you. But definitely don't judge yourself if you are feeling like you want to break things. If you're really angry right now, there's a lot of this expression of anger, of moving the anger. Move your anger. What happens when we stuff emotions, what happens? Dis-ease. The last stop's the body. So the mental, the spiritual, all the levels, the last stop is the physical body. So if you if you stay in denial about something and you push it down into your body will have to manifest it. And that's really what dis-ease is. That's why people get headaches, stomach aches, get cancer, get this, get that. It's the last stop for the body. So if you want to heal the body, if you already have manifested these things, you go back to point of origin. That's why I do all healing. You go back to what was going on. Where did all this start? That's all. Because when you can unwind and go back to where the seed got activated that led to the manifestation, you can heal things. There's nothing that, I'm a firm believer there's nothing that can't be healed. So I think that when in our lives right now, it's extremely important to keep your heart open. Don't shut down. Stay aware, stay open, notice everything that's going on. Nothing is coincidental, nothing is an accident right now, especially. And you're going to see clearer and clearer and clearer every day what is happening, why it's happening, but how to change it. And as you change in here, the things will change. It's not the opposite. We always want to try to control and manipulate the external reality. The external reality is just a mirror reflecting back to us what is going on in here. So again, when you shift, that shifts. But it's not always easy to be in the process. So we'll start to process that, then it gets really scary, and we stop it. So keep just being. We're going to do a little meditation here. And if you've meditated all the time, you've never meditated, doesn't matter. All you have to do is just feel safe. And this is a very safe space to heal, to grow, to learn, to share. In accordance with each person's free will and highest good, we ask the bodies to come out of the illusion that they're separate from one another. You are one body. Your mental, spiritual, physical, emotional, it's all one being. You are all one being of light that you're not separate from. I want you to feel the vastness of not just the earth, of the universe, of this amazing, amazing, amazing. We don't just live on this little blue marble. It's like a cell in our body. That's why with the, when people do certain types of chakra meditations, or they assign a color or a tone, there's a color, there's a tone, and a planet that aligns with each of the endocrine system of the chakra or wheel of light. Start to not even get hung up in that. Start to just know there's only one big body, and you are part of that body. And you want to know and keep letting go of separation, letting go of that fear that separates you from the unconditional love that you want, that separates you from the life that you want, from bringing all of who you are into this level. So as the energies of the oneness are here, I want you to imagine, because at first it may feel like you're imagining it, I want you to imagine that you're this huge being of light, your physical body temple. Your body is a physical temple for the spirit, but you're huge. You're a huge, huge, huge being of light. The energy field around you goes out 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 feet, 100 feet, can go limitless. Again, because there's really not a separation. So I want you to feel beyond the confines of the physical body. Because so many of us have become a prisoner in our body temple. And so what happens is the energy stops moving. It solidifies, it breaks down, it gets trapped. I want you to, again, it may feel like you're imagining, I want you to imagine that density and what we see as an object really is made up of pixels. We know when we see Kirlian photography and different things, even what people would think of as inanimate objects have an aura. So I want you to feel and move into that realm and know that everything are made up of these little rays of energy. It's not dense like it looks like it appears to be. But most importantly right now, your being, your body. So many times why we become ill or have disease or live in that place where of aging, of dying. It has to do with that perception that the body is so solid and so dense. So right this second, just imagine your body is translucent, your body is fluid, your physical body is not dense. It's beautiful, it's moving, it's energetic, it has no separation from all the other energy around it. We ask all pictures of death to be turned into pictures of life, all pictures of fear to be transmuted into pictures of unconditional love and truth. In accordance with each person's free will and highest good, we ask the original divine blueprint for your life to come into full activation. It's safe to let go of pain, fear, guilt, shame. It's safe to be happy. It's safe to be who you are. It's safe to let your light shine. It's safe to free yourself from negative or positive expectations. It's safe to be all of yourself. Safe to bring into manifested, visible form your talents, your abilities, your gifts of Holy Spirit, your powers of co-creation. Safe to manifest your true destiny. You are no longer held hostage. We ask the last of anywhere in the body, mind, or spirit, or that illusion that we're separate from, that those things are separate. We ask for things to be pulled out by the root that have been planted so many eons ago, that are not of the light, that are false beliefs, that are negative umbilical cords that are keeping us tied anywhere in space or time to dark, negative, death energy, to fear, to guilt, to shame. Any dysfunction, addictions, energy that would drain and take you away from your true self. Anything that is parasitic, putrid, not of the light, we ask all of these things to be pulled up by the root. Because it's just like if you cut down a weed, it can come back. We want to pull these things out by the root in all of your being. Let it go. It's safe to let go of the past. It's safe to let go of things that are not of the light. It's safe to let go of fear-based reality. It's safe to let go of things just because they're familiar. Let it move. Let this energy go through every cell of your being. Your energy is already in you. It's activating. It's not separate. Just let that illusion of that separation be gone. And we ask all the umbilical cords to come into one place here. And we invite and we know and we feel the presence of the Archangel Michael and all the mighty beings, all the beautiful archangels of light. And with their mighty swords, we ask them to cut, and we ask to participate in the cutting of these cords. Again, we ask the Archangel Michael to sever Over the next 9-10 hours, you're going to feel very, 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 very different. Over the next 9-10 days, your bodies will detoxify. Let this energy ripple and move. There's a huge, huge amount of light within each person here and collectively in this room, in this space, in the universe. There's many, many like-minded energies here. We're in a huge amount of light that's here tonight. It's always here. Again, the illusion is that it's not here. The illusion is that this is what you have to do to get to this state. You can always be in this state. This is where you want to be in your consciousness. You want to integrate. You want to be whole. You want to be one. You want to feel the relief of non-attachment. You don't want those things. This is a cleansing of the body, mind, and spirit. This can end up being people, objects, ways of being, ways of feeling, experiencing things. Let things go. Let them go. Very interesting images in the room tonight. I see lots of light, and I see lots of figures being drawn to the light that are a darker energy. It's like a moth to the flame. We know in time everything will come into a healing and alignment. This is a circle of light. We ask for a healing of all beings, but it's not. They can no longer pray. Anything that's parasitic, that's a predator, that's vampiristic, in the body, minds, or spirits of your being, or in your homes, in your families, in your work, they have to go now. Cut with this. I want you to feel this actualization of unconditional love within your own being. Love thy neighbor as thyself. You can't love your neighbor any better than you love yourself. Feel this light. Feel this energy. You're always in this, of this. It's not a separate thing. Any type of healing on any level that you need, it's here. Let it in. There's no need to be sick. There's no need to be suffering. Let it go. There are many ancestors. There's many people here that I call vessel holders. You're ready to not repeat the sins of the fathers that go through the 7 generations. You're ready to stop the patterns. You're ready to be the embodiment of the divine blueprint for yourself and for others. And there's so much on the other people that we're connected with in the other levels of consciousness that are healing and letting go. We ask all pictures of death to be turned into pictures of life, all pictures of aging to be turned into pictures of youthing. And when you're ready, return to and stay in this wonderful state of being in the authentic self, filled with light, of the light, not ever separate from the light. And this process of healing, learning, shifting will continue into the night, into the dreams, into the days to come. Oh, Gracie. She was meditating. He was meditating. Wow. Wow. I think everybody needed that. That was and again, it's not, now I'm not meditating, now I'm doing this. The point of when we do that form is to remind you that that's always there. That that's not something, the states of consciousness are always here. They're not, and more and more and more, you will be in this state. You'll be in these, it'll be a constant, not something that is a process. But it's interesting because the brain is like a computer and you can program, anything we experience is like a downloaded into our being. So when we have these higher frequency experiences, they're already downloaded. They're just downloaded. And you can experience them again. You can experience all kinds of things all the time. Good things. Good things. But again, I would advise everybody to, when we have a lot of purging, healing energy like this, it's good to go home, take a shower, take a bath, clean the aura. That when you cleanse, physically it cleanses the energy field. And you moved a lot of stuff here tonight, so just let go. Let all this energy be cleansing. And you all may find that it's what I'm going through right now, purging the closet, purging my house. It's time to let go of stuff. It's time to release and pass things on. It really is. And you're going to find more and more that things might start to really bother you. Even things you've had for a long time, you don't want to look at them anymore. You don't even know why they're there. And again, it's that time to totally release things. So, does anybody have a question or anything they want to share or ask?
I'm just glad I'm going home youthing.
Yes, we're going home youthing. There you go. That's right.
Be youthing.
Years ago, I started always meditating about let go of that concept of aging and turn into youthing, because we think we're old because we are. We're programmed to die. People used to always live longer. All the stories of people living to be 600 years old or it's how we're not supposed to wither and die and age and become crappy and toxic and fall apart and decay. It's not a good thing. And again, it's frequencies. It's a matter of just letting go of that. There's so much that's programmed into us about what is beautiful or what's young or what's not, or what people should be doing at a certain age, And so it's a matter of breaking through those things. Yes, so that's a good one. It's absolutely a good one. Well, it was wonderful to be with everyone tonight, and have a wonderful holiday. And again, go into your family situations and change it up. Just don't have that negative or positive expectation. Redirect the roles. Change, your approach, your energy that you'll bring into a group situation can lift it up. Instead of going in and kind of conforming and, staying in a dark place with it, you don't have to. You can make it a very fun holiday. So, sending you all love and healing energy till next time. Yeah. Do we...
Oops.